Mimi na familia yangu. Wataka nini?
Wakili, taratibu.
Taratibu nini?
Abel si mtoto wangu. Ni mtoto wa Kate.
Mundos divididos por una sombra de traición.
What do you mean the woman died? Were you even thinking she was only supposed to pass out? You'd better be sure that nobody sees where you buried the...
Tell me why, Santi. I have a feeling there's something more to your story. Come on, tell me.
Let's cut the nonsense, okay? You know better than anyone else that sooner or later, this crime will end up as one of your cold cases.
He's getting married to the person he deserves for taking away the woman who has been an angel to me. I hate him because he always took the best.
Lying heart.
Imia nukta tano FM.
Kwa burudani tosha, yani miziki ya Kiluya, mazungumzo, habari tendeti na yote upendayo, pamoja na watangazaji wakakamavu na wacheshi. Sikiliza Radio Ingo. East or West, Ingo is the best. Radio Ingo, inginingini yomwitala.
Across for Edward Leuven, and that wraps things up for Here is Hurlo and Demirovic, and Freiburg have now surely sealed their passage.
A very, very good morning to you all and welcome to the program. This is Good Morning Kenya. I am Jane Wambo. You are tuned to KBC Channel 1 and we are glad you are with us this beautiful Wednesday morning. It is the second day of March 2022. We do trust your morning has been off to a good start, and given you are here with us, it's definitely bound to get better. Of course, we have a beautiful show lined up for you, but this is courtesy of the entire team. And kama kawaida, tuko tayari to bring this show to you, starting with Doreen. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm the only guy in the team today. Troy.
Yes.
Sasa.
Poa sana, niko na D na niko na J. Sasa sijui ama mimi pia mimi nitaitwa
DJ. DJ Troy.
J. Troy.
DJ B, because his second name is Ben.
Yes, indeed. Today I'm alone. Vicky is not around, so I'm the only gentleman around. And it's glad to be here. The holidays are here, guys.
Very long holiday.
Long holidays. Feels like a December, but it's
but a reprieve for parents,
December
at least
in March.
A reprieve for parents when you look at it. At least a time to breathe, tafuta school fees pole pole.
Yes.
Kuna time, unlike December, which was just a week. Was it a week or two?
Not even just December. Once we start this 2022 academic year, the terms will be having only a 1 week break in between them. So ni rehearsal. We are making up for the time that we are not going to be spending with them.
Saizi ni wakati wa kupumua kidogo.
Exactly. But students also, they should understand it's only next year, and then the education calendar goes back to normal. Anyway, I'll be coming back a little bit later with the day's news. Good morning. Let's have a look at what's in store in the news. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has maintained that the examination calendar will not be altered. Professor Magoha dismissed claims that there are plans to postpone the national examinations due to cases of insecurity in some regions. The Education CS said candidates in insecurity-prone zones will be transferred to safer exam centers.
A day after a section of residents from volatile parts of Laikipia County cast a dark cloud over the national examinations that begin next week over security concerns, the Ministry of Education has responded. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha now says the government is in control and that plans are complete to transfer students in insecurity-prone areas to safer exam centers.
All plans are ready. All children will have exams in very secure areas where there is need for us to cater for the children in a boarding facility.
The Education CS dismissing claim that there is a possibility of postponement of the national examinations.
Nobody has enough power in this country except His Excellency the President, who was elected by everybody, to say the exam should not take place. They shall take place.
The Education CS at the same time said the Teacher Service Commission has reached a consensus with the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education over a looming teacher strike.
So I don't think anybody is going to interfere in this exam. That one we can take to the bank. Nobody has capacity to do so. Not I, not KUPPET, not anybody else. But on the talking side, I believe KUPPET is talking to TSC. I have pleaded with them almost a week ago to call off the strike.
Eastern Regional Commissioner Evans Achoki has in the meantime assured candidates sitting KCSE and KCP examination of their safety during the examinations period.
Tumejiandaa vilivyo katika mkoa wa Mashariki kusambaza mitihani ambayo KCSE imeanza, inaendelea, na KCPE tutaanza rehearsal Friday, alafu Jumatatu kuendelea mbele tutaweza kusambaza na kuhakikisha ya kwamba mitihani imefanyika kwa mazingira inayofaa.
Sentiments echoed by Laikipia County Commissioner Joseph Kanyiri, who said the government had mobilized security personnel to address any security needs in the county during the exams.
Na rangu ni kuhakikishia wanafunzi na wazazi kwamba usalama upo tosha kwa hii kaunti yetu, na hivyo basi hatuna tashwishi kwamba huu mtihani utaendelea unavyostahili kuendelea kwa hii kaunti yetu.
A total of 1.2 million pupils and 831,026 students will sit for KCPE and KCSE examination that begin next week.
And to some politics now, where Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka says he is ready to work with ODM leader Raila Odinga again, but only if the latter acknowledges a deal signed in 2017 where Odinga had agreed to back Kalonzo irrespective of whether the now moribund NASA would win the election or not. In what could complicate the impending signing of the Azimio One Kenya Alliance deal, Kalonzo wants President Uhuru Kenyatta to take charge of fresh negotiations, saying he does not trust ODM leader Raila Odinga.
After snubbing the ODM National Delegates Conference Saturday, despite having attended a similar meeting organized by the Jubilee Party the same day, it was his turn to explain himself, owing to the amount of pressure he's currently under to join Azimio la Umoja. In a tell-it-all statement, Kalonzo accused ODM leader Raila Odinga of reneging on an agreement signed on the 30th of April 2017 that committed Raila Odinga to support him in this year's general election.
By accepting nomination of the Orange Democratic Movement to run as president for the 5th time, I believe my brother Raila Odinga has committed an irreparable material breach of this agreement.
The document, which was private until today and signed by both Raila and Kalonzo, reads in part, and I quote, "This agreement binds Principal H and Principal Q in a power-sharing pact within NASA in the period before and after the 2017 elections. The commitments made herein shall bind Principal H and Q in both the 2017 and 2022 general election. End of quote. The agreement, witnessed by Makueni Governor Kivutha Kibwana and deposited with Law Professor Makau Mutua, who have interestingly backed Raila Odinga for the 2022 general election, further reads that, quote, Principal H shall be the NASA presidential candidate with Principal Q as running mate. Principal H agrees in a public MOU to serve one term and publicly endorse Principal Q as the presidential candidate for 2022. End of quote. This was whether the pair won the 2017 elections or it failed to.
It is imperative to mention that I've tried twice to have Professor Makau Mutua convene a meeting between me and my brother, Honorable Raila Odinga, in his capacity as the depository of this most important document. On his part, Professor Makau stands in breach of his obligation under the agreement, since he has already joined Honorable Raila Odinga's campaign team.
The Wiper Party leader now wants President Uhuru Kenyatta to take charge of a fresh negotiations that could see the birth of the Azimio One Kenya Alliance Grand Coalition.
I think it's right and proper, considering he has a sense of authority, he's a sitting head of state.
Kalonzo, however, claims there's no tension between him and Raila. With the clock ticking towards the August elections, the big question is which way Kalonzo Musyoka? And with pressure mounting on him to join Azimio la Umoja, will he succumb or finally be his own man?
In other news, the National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK, wants politicians to desist from hate speech and division and shift to issue-based campaigns. NCCK says the rising political temperatures are not healthy for the country.
The National Council of Churches of Kenya wants cool heads to prevail as Kenya ages closer to the general elections. NCCK says the freedom of speech has its limit and that politicians must tame their tongue as they hunt for votes.
Also noted with concern the sudden shift of campaigns from issue-based to use of abusive languages and hate speech. We challenge our political leaders and all aspiring candidates to desist from using hate speech, propaganda campaigns, and vulgar language. It is not healthy for our nation.
The clergy says politicians must resist the urge to balkanize the country.
We warn you against the use of social media outlets to share propaganda and hate messages that could easily divide Kenyans among ethnic lines. Instead, let us use this platform to spread messages of hope and educative materials.
Groups spoke amid concerns by Haki Africa that there is a crop of politicians hell-bent on sowing division in the country.
Tutaanza mradi wa kuchunguza yale maovu na uchochezi unaofanyika katika maeneo yetu. Tutaweza kujiami na vifaa vya kunasa video, vifaa vya kunasa audio, na hizi ushahidi hazitopeanwa tu kwa taasisi za hapa Kenya, lakini tayari tuko na makubaliano na vitengo vya kimataifa ambapo tutaweza kufikisha ushahidi huu ili hatua ziweze kuchukuliwa mwafaka.
The Commission on Administrative of Justice is set to begin vetting politicians and public officers who have expressed interest in various elective positions. The Ombudsman says it will ensure that only competent individuals and those whose records are clean are clear to run for public office.
Wakati wale wanaenda kusimama kwa viti za umbunge wakitaka clearance certificate, wakuje kwa ofisi ya Ombudsman ama kwa Commission on Administrative Justice, tuweze kuangalia kwa vitabu zetu, tujue kama wakati walikuwa wanafanyia wananchi kazi, waliweza kuwafanyia kazi vile inafaa, ama wamepitia kwa Ombudsman wakapatikana na makosa, kwa hivyo hatutaweza kuwapea clearance certificate.
And now back to some politics, where a section of the Party of National Unity leadership now says Peter Munya has no legal rights to speak on behalf of the party. Led by the second Deputy Organizing Secretary, Tim Kariuki, the group says though it supports the decision by PNU to coalesce with like-minded parties under the Azimio la Umoja movement, Munya should not transact any business on behalf of the party. Zainab Said reports.
Some deeply rooted leadership prow has erupted in PNU, with some officials accusing Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya of attempting to subvert the party's constitution.
Party is that one of the chairman. And it is good to come out very clearly about this because it is creating a lot of confusion. We are yet to have an NDC. This matter is in court, apparently, and hopefully by the end of the week, there will be a ruling. It is very important. We are going to have an NDC, a proper NDC with the proper delegates. That particular NDC from all the 47 counties is the one that is going to decide who is the party leader.
The group says as much as it supports PNU's alliance with Azimio, only authorized officials should transact the party's business. Meanwhile, 3 coastal-based parties have merged to form a coalition called Ukombozi wa Majimbo in bid to establish a regional outfit ahead of the 2022 general elections.
Sisi tumefanya muungano wa vyama vya kitaifa vyenye misingi yake mkoa wa Pwani na tumepata jina kutoka kwa registrar wa political parties. Kama mnavyoona barua hii, muungano wetu unaitwa Ukombozi wa Majimbo. Ukombozi wa Majimbo ndio jina litakalotumika kwa mkoa wa Pwani katika uchaguzi unaokuja.
The parties are KADU Asili, Umoja Summit Party of Kenya and Shirikisho Party of Kenya. In Nairobi, a youth caucus has thrown its weight behind Westlands Member of Parliament Tim Wanyonyi in his quest for governor.
Honorable Tim Wanyonyi has been credibly ranked 2 times as the best performing MP in Kenya. He is celebrated as the best legislator in Nairobi. In tandem to this, there is no single aspirant whatsoever for Nairobi gubernatorial seat whose track record, experience or integrity comes any close to that of Honorable Tim Wanyonyi.
The youth said Wanyonyi has what it takes to build the city. Meanwhile, former Kiambu Governor William Kabogo says his family in the Kiambu gubernatorial race.
Na hamwendi mnakaa tu boardroom. Unarudi Gesagi. Au sio namna hiyo? Niliona hatusongi, bado ni chai kwa maboardroom. Saa nyingine mimi tu ndio nalipa. That's why we are vying. That's why all these people are vying. Because they have hope they will capture those seats. And we shall participate in nation building in those levels, at MCA level, at the ward levels, that is in the counties, and at the National Assembly, or at the Senate. I'm hoping that we'll get sizable number of seats. And we can take our policy of the party and sell that to other parties that think alike, so that Kenya can move from where it is to a better future.
Meanwhile, differences emerged at a media briefing by church leaders on the remarks made by the president at Sagana 3 on the position of the church on corruption.
Sisi rais wetu ajue tuko nyuma yake, tuko hapa kutenda vile atatuongoza, kumuonyesha ya kwamba tuko na umoja pamoja na yeye. Kanisa haliwezi kutawanywa na mtu yeyote.
Sasa ikija yeye ambaye hata wewe nyinyi, sababu nyinyi ni waadishi, mnaweza kuingia kwa kanisa. Kile ambacho mnaweza toa, tutajuaje nyinyi ni ya wizi? So hatuko hapa ndio tuulizane. Hiyo sio kazi yetu. Tumekuja tuunganishe uso wa Kristo, taifa la Kenya, na tuliombe, na hasa sana sisi hatukutuma mwanasiasa yoyote aende atetee kanisa. Kanisa sio la wachungaji, kanisa ni la Mungu. Na yeye huwa ndiye anatetea kanisa lake.
At the briefing, a section of men of cloth said they should not be blamed for receiving money from politicians, while on the other hand, a section of them asked to be forgiven by the president if they had received cash from politicians.
To the corridors of justice now, where Ben Gedhi, a suspect in the National Youth Service scandal, has been sentenced to 5 years in jail or pay a fine of 4 million shillings after being found guilty of forging tender documents for lanterns for the 2013 general election. Gedhi was sentenced alongside Solamark director Joyce McKenna and 3 former IEBC officials. This and more from the courts.
The Milimani Anti-Corruption Court has sentenced National Youth Service suspect Ben Gedhi and his co-director at Solamark Technologies, Joyce McKenna, to 5 years in jail or each pay a fine of 4 million shillings in the 105 million IEBC lantern fraud case. Chief Magistrate Lawrence Mugambi also sentenced 3 former IEBC officers. They include Gabriel Mutunga, Kennedy Gaunye and Willie Kamanga. The 5 had been convicted on different counts, including forging tender documents for lanterns that were to be used in the 2013 general election and conspiracy to defraud. Meanwhile, the first protection witness in the 73.4 million shillings graft case against Migori Governor Okoth Obado, his 4 children and 13 others, has begun to testify. Robert Cheruiyot Rono, who is currently a forensic expert at TSCC, produced documents showing how close to over 20 companies associated with close family members were awarded tenders to a tune of 2.7 billion shillings in the financial year 2013-2014 and 2016 to 2017. The hearing continues on Wednesday. Finally, State Department of Devolution Principal Secretary Julius Kiplangat Korir, who is facing charges of assault against his estranged wife, has been given 30 days to settle the matter out of court. Chief Magistrate Susan Shitubi directed that if the accused fail to do so, he'll take plea on the 4th of April.
Moving on, members of parliament have differed on proposals by the Budget and Appropriations Committee on Kenya's borrowing strategies. A section of lawmakers say there may be attempts by parliament to provide Treasury with a backdoor option to borrow beyond the legally accepted ceiling. The country's debt currently stands at 8.3 trillion shillings.
Proposals by the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the medium-term debt management strategy saw MPs differ on the proposals on whether the fiscal deficit, as proposed in the budget policy statement, and the medium-term debt management strategy for the financial year 2022-2023 should be capped at 400 billion shillings, or 3% of the country's gross domestic product.
Any person, any institution, any entity claiming that the debt of the country is beyond 8.2, it's hearsay, doesn't have any merit, and is not documented.
Medium-term debt management strategy be approved, but inconsistent with the fiscal deficit of the 400 billion that is maybe either the 400 billion or 3% of the GDP, whichever is low.
Those endorsing the proposal saying the provisions adhere to the Section 63 of the Public Finance Management Act.
This proposed amendment is timely and we should all actually back it because it's purely to ensure we and the country are well informed.
Those against the report saying there are no clear proposals on how the cost of debt burden and reducing of refinancing risk on domestic debt will be done.
Should we approve this BPS and the debt management strategy, it shall not be construed to be an approval to exceed our debt ceiling.
We have borrowed, Madam Speaker, actually over-borrowed beyond the limits set here in this parliament. And I was actually sitting here wondering the debate we had earlier, Madam Speaker, because we ought to be discussing, Madam Speaker, on how to punish those people who have made this country borrow beyond the legal limits, Madam Speaker.
The amendment by Kikuyu Member of Parliament was also thrown out as the leader of Majority Amos Kimunya urged the House to reject the amendment, terming it as preemptive and speculative since the budget estimates had not been discussed in the House.
Let's just remove this from our records by deleting this, by objecting to it, by defeating this amendment, because it is very obvious
that this House will not approve estimates that go beyond the debt ceiling.
A section of MPs claiming Treasury has a fiscal deficit of 846 billion shillings and if allowed to borrow, will overshoot the country's debt ceiling. The country's debt now stands at 8.3 trillion shillings.
In other news, fertilizer prices might hit 7,000 shillings in the near future if no subsidy is put in place as global prices increase following the Russia-Ukraine war. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya says he needs 31.8 billion shillings to stabilize fertilizer prices, with Parliament offering 3 billion shillings for the program in the supplementary budget.
Currently, fertilizer retails at an average of 6,000 shillings in most parts of the country, as the commodity experienced unprecedented price increase. The government blames the high prices on the current Russia-Ukraine war for the price increase, as Kenya sources her fertilizer from Russia.
Given the circumstances and now even the war in that region, Russia and Ukraine, the prices could even go further.
This, coupled with the COVID-19 pandemic that saw reduced production of fertilizer in China and hoarding of the commodity by Brazil, India and the US, has seen global prices shoot up.
The rise in fertilizer prices is due to the impact of COVID-19, which led fertilizer producing countries such as China, Russia and Turkey restricting exports to protect their farmers, and heavy consumers such as India, Brazil and USA buying large quantities, hence creating market scarcity.
The government warns that farmers might purchase fertilizer at 7,000 shillings per bag until August this year if a subsidy kitty is not put in place.
If this trend continues, DAP prices may go as far as 7,000 Kenya shillings per bag.
And that is maybe the reason I normally tell people that when you go to these hotels, you will get ugali sosa, because it is not taken serious. It is taken that you can be given ugali sosa. Why is it that in all the other crops or all the other things you don't get such things? We need to take it more serious, because this is a staple food that every Kenyan touches on it.
You and me eat ugali, and we are mitigating much of coffee. I say tea. You see, you can't take coffee and sleep. Farmers of maize was eating today. And farmers are now live on us, you and us. We are Parliament, you are Waziri. We must have an answer for the prices today.
The Agriculture Ministry estimates it needs 31.8 billion shillings to lower the cost of fertilizer to 2,000 shillings.
We would require a total of that 1 billion. 851, 916,000. If we were to take those prices that prevailed at some point in time.
However, the National Assembly says it will factor in 3 billion shillings in the supplementary budget to subsidize fertilizer in the short term as the planting season begins.
Already put the 1.4 billion, which is already in. But they are saying it is not sufficient. Can we put 3 billion? What do you think? The supplementary, we advanced the 1.4 billion and we added a 1.6 billion to 3 billion. What we had from other area, the money that was ready was 1.4 billion. But we had requested budget to add another 1.6 billion to make it 3 billion to start with, as 10% of what we are starting with, to be able to allow farmers to go to the farm.
MPs faulted Treasury for omitting the 1.4 billion shillings in the budget policy statement allocated to subsidize fertilizer.
That's all we had for GMK News, but don't go away. We still have lots more in store. We take a short break. We look at the traffic. From that, we're going to be looking at matters land. What are land rates? What are the land audits? What is the status in the region? And especially when we talk about Kiambu, we'll be hosting the CEC member of lands from Kiambu County. Don't go away.
abreast of the developments live from the National Assembly and the Senate.
Honourable members of Parliament.
The questions.
When is the construction expected to commence?
The motions.
Beg to give notice for the following motion.
The debate.
Will as many as what opinion say aye?
The statements.
A statement on an issue of general topical concern.
The petitions.
Order number 4, petitions.
Stay tuned to KBC Channel 1 and Radio Taifa for live proceedings from both houses of parliament from Tuesday to Thursday. Live, uncensored, unedited. KBC, your national broadcaster.
I'm afraid she's not gonna let go that easily. And I fear you'll be seduced by her again.
This affair between us is completely done. Do you hear me?
You lay one finger on him, I'll kill you.
You're on his side? Get out of here!
What are you doing here right now? I looked for you everywhere. Are you okay?
Is there really somebody waiting for me inside? Or are you making all this up? How is it that you have a son?
Say hello to Jack. Hi, Daddy.
At exactly 2 minutes past the top of the hour, welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. Time for us to quickly look at how our roads are looking like this Wednesday morning, and we will be focusing on Nyerere Road as well as State House Road. This is how this particular section is looking like. Also, simply because it always serves as a very, very good alternative route for those living areas of Wayakiwe, as well as sections of or areas around city center, particularly as you leave areas of Globe roundabout, either going through sections or 2 sections of Uhuru Highway up until Wayakiwe. And this is if you do not want to make do that heavy traffic along Uhuru Highway, particularly on the section between University roundabout and Kenyatta Avenue. So this is why oftentimes when you look at this route, you always look at it from an angle of it being an alternative route. And this is how it is looking like. This is as you leave All Saints Cathedral, leaving areas of Agwix Kodek, Valley Road, Mbagathi Way, coming all the way to the city center. This is how the entire section is looking like. A bit of a traffic. This is as you leave Kenyatta Avenue, coming through Nyerere Road, as well as also leaving areas around Wayakiwe, coming through the same route, just particularly on both lanes. On a small section is where there's a bit of traffic, but altogether very manageable kind of traffic. So again, if you're leaving those areas that I mentioned earlier, those are sections of Wayakiwe, as well as some areas in between Kenyatta Avenue and the University roundabout. And perhaps you do not want to make with that heavy traffic on that lane or on that area along Uhuru Highway. Again, also knowing fully well that there's a section along Kenyatta Avenue that is still closed because of expressway, then you can use this route as your alternative route. That is Nyerere Road there, because right now that is just how it's looking like. Nothing is changing. In fact, majorly along the same route, green all through, clear indication of a smooth sailing, moving at a very, very swift pace, and that continues up until the University Way roundabout, where things begin to get a little bit thick still around that section just before you near the roundabout. And again, heavy kind of traffic throughout the entire roundabout. But again, this is also very much expected. It is the early morning hour, so clearly what you're seeing is basically what we would expect to see. Aside from that, it is one of those busy roundabouts. That is the University Way roundabout there. That is why you're seeing the difference in colors there, characterizing heavy kind of traffic throughout this entire roundabout. In fact, in some sections moving at a very, very slow pace. That is why we're seeing that red color, which is a clear indicator of that. And as you branch off from the roundabout, going all the way through Uhuru Highway, just before you get to Wayakiwe, on that section, not moving at all, just at a standstill. And this is particularly as you head over to the city center, which is again very much expected on most lanes, especially here in the CBD. As you head over to the city center in the early morning hour, this is what you would basically expect to see, given it is the morning rush hour. So obviously a lot of activities as you come to the city center. Away from that, as you head over to one of those key slip roads as well, just like Nyerere, that is the State House Road, moving at a very swift pace. So aside from Nyerere, you can also use State House Road as one of your alternative routes. And again, this is just particularly for motorcycles as well, for those in private vehicles, because this is again one of those roads which is a preserve for only those two road users, and that continues all the way up until areas of Mamlaka Road. This is just before you get to Dennis Prit, as you head over to sections in areas around Valley Road there. On that particular area, moving at a very swift pace, no traffic at all. Also, as you head over to areas around Westlands this early morning from the University roundabout, heading all the way through areas around Wayakiwe, still not bad at all, moving at a very, very swift pace. It's really highly, it's quite interesting because in this morning hour, oftentimes on most of these roads that I'm mentioning, you'd really be expected to be seeing heavy kind of traffic, but on most areas where this traffic looks like it's just a very manageable kind of traffic. However, things are changing around the roundabout. That is the University roundabout. Looks like it's opening up a bit on that section there. So more of the orange color, clear indication that traffic is still very much there, but at least a manageable kind of traffic, unlike what we were seeing just a minute ago. So again, this is why I keep saying all the time that just traffic changes every single minute. But that is how it is looking like this morning on sections of Nyerere as well as State House Road at exactly 7 minutes past 7 a.m.
Welcome back, and just in case you joined us, good morning. This is Good Morning Kenya, and as I had alluded to earlier, is that we'll be talking about matters land. Of course, it's a hot topic when it comes to Kenya, and also a lot has been done in the last couple of months by the government when it comes to matters digitization and making sure that people have their own title deeds. The president himself said one of the things that he has been able to do that other presidents have not been able to do is give lots and lots of titles. But not only titles, a lot is happening. Of course, you know about land rates. Why should we pay them? What are they in the first place? What happens if I decide not to pay the land rates for my plot of land? Well, all these questions will be answered, and just in case you have more, kindly reach us on all our social media spaces. And now, to help us understand more, I'm joined by CEC member in charge of lands in Kiambu County, Madam Eunice Masharia. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
I know there are a lot of questions when it comes to land, and also as a CEC you've been asked lots and lots of questions. Let's first of all have a look at your department. What have you been able to do as Kiambu County government? A lot of challenges when it comes to counties like Kiambu, Nairobi and Machakos. Basically a lot of counties that surround Nairobi have a lot of land issues.
Thank you so much, Ben. I head the Department of Lands, Physical Planning, Housing, Urban Development and Municipal Administration at the Kiambu County, at the CCM in charge. And it is true that Kiambu, being neighbors with Nairobi, in fact, we call ourselves the bedroom for Nairobi, because we house a lot of Nairobi residents. And if you look at our roads, even in the morning, you see the kind of traffic that we have flowing in to Nairobi in the morning and flowing out of Nairobi in the evening.
Yes.
So we we are very close to Nairobi, and we offer a lot of services also to Nairobi residents. And that comes with its own challenges and its own pressures. Yes.
The Ministry of Lands in the last couple of months did start a worldwide exercise, or countrywide exercise, targeting digitization of lands and land matters and files, all that.
Yes.
And CS Karonei has done quite a pretty job. Have you also started the process of digitization?
Yes, we have started the process of digitization in our land information management systems, and the way we manage our land. And that is a process that is ongoing in matters of making sure that we have in sight all the land that is registered at Kiambu. But more so in the planning department, we have digitized the process of approvals, development approvals. And we have also, we are working on interlinking and the processes of the department with the processes of finance, and just looking at how everything interlinks together, ideally to make it easier for the citizens of Kiambu and the residents of Kiambu to be able to interact with us better and be able to get better services. So yes, it's an ongoing process. The ministry has taken the lead and we are following.
Okay, and in some of the recent building inspection and audit, most buildings do not have approvals. And looking at Kiambu, there's a lot of buildings had collapsed last year and the year before. Have you been able to seal some loopholes?
That is true. Last year, unfortunately, we had 3 incidences of buildings collapsing. Well, the last one was in Loiro at the OJ area. And immediately after that, we formed a multi-sectoral committee where we invited the Directorate of Building Inspectors to join us, the Engineering Board, the Architectural Association of Kenya, and other members of the associations, together with the county government of Kiambu. And the reports that are coming back, that it is true that a lot of our buildings, and especially in the high-rise, the apartments, and it's a challenge that we have been having, that developers don't want to follow the processes. There is a compromise in building materials and the mixing of concrete, and sometimes even doing the survey before the construction, and the engineering aspect of it has not been done properly. And the reports that we have from the team is that there were cases of compromise in materials and construction, mostly on site, where you find that the developers are not doing the right things when it comes to implementation on the ground. And what we have witnessed in Kiambu especially is that we have a lot of developers coming to us for building approvals, and they bring the right documentation because they know the conditions, they know the terms of approvals. But when you go to site, you find that they're doing something totally different. You go and find you have one set of building that is properly approved by the county government of Kiambu, and then on the other hand, they have another set of buildings which they are using for implementation. This is a very serious offense because when we give you a building permission, building permit, it has conditions, and you cannot alter the buildings, the designs of a building without coming back to the county government to seek approval if there are any changes. But you find a case where our developers are trying to cheat the system by having 2 sets of buildings, one for approval and one for implementation. And they're being assisted by professionals. So
indeed, and some rogue officials, because I do remember the OJ incident, coincidentally I was the one who was sent to cover that.
Right.
Do you believe the laws that govern and the penalties that whoever is arrested and charged for not using the approvals recommended, are they airtight enough? Because we have seen several buildings contravening. There are even some buildings where it is said that they have not met the threshold, yet they are still there. They haven't been demolished as yet.
Yeah, that's a matter of courts, because we have taken quite a number of developers to court, and sometimes the courts learn for a very long time before the decisions are made, and in the interim you find the developers are still continuing to do the wrong thing, and I think it's a challenge that we need to address as a society, not just the county government, but also, like I say, the professionals, because these buildings are supervised by professionals. These buildings are supervised by NCA. These buildings have licenses from NEMA. These buildings have, NCA and NEMA and the environment, NEMA also. You see, it is not a one-person thing. It's a collective, and we need to team up together. And as Kiambu government, under the leadership of our governor, Mr. James Nyoro, we did invite all the professionals and all the multi-sector team to help us in inspection. I think that is going to go a long way in helping us to resolve some of those issues. When we did our audit, we sampled around 300 buildings in Kiambu in a period of about 10 days. And it is true that about 70% of them have either partial approvals or no approvals, or they are not following the approvals on site. They are contravening the approvals. And the legal process has not really helped us to resolve those issues. So we need also to look at the judiciary and the way they are helping us in arresting this situation.
Indeed, I concur. We need a multi-sectoral approach on the same. Something else that a lot of Kenyans are waiting to hear exactly and to know what exactly there are: property rates or land rates. We see each and every year 100% waiver on your land rates.
Yes.
What exactly are land rates?
As you know, the county governments receive funding from the central government, from Treasury. But we are also supposed to raise our own revenue from the counties. And if you look at the Finance Act, our Finance Act, you see there are quite a number of levies that the county government raises per year, and land rates is one of them. There are two kinds of land rates, land taxes. There's the land rent, which is levied by the Ministry of Lands, and there's land rates which are levied by the county government. So it's one of our sources for collecting or raising revenue to support the many services that we are offering to the residents of Kiambu. And at the county level, we can say it's one of the areas that we raise revenue to support our projects and our other expenses, yes.
And how often are they paid, and what determines how much one will pay per year?
Land rates are payable once a year, at the beginning of the year, between 1st of January to 31st of March. We give the residents a period of a window of 3 months to be able to pay. They are based on the improved site value of your property, meaning that we do not charge on the developments. If you have, for example, some plot, we will look at the unimproved site value of that property, not the developments that are there. It is levied both on the residential, agricultural, industrial properties, all kinds of properties that are within the county. The difference is just the amount that is payable. For agricultural, the amount is less, the rate is smaller. The amounts are smaller, much smaller than for commercial and other residential properties in the urban centers.
So what properties are rateable, and especially when it comes to Kiambu and Nairobi, because when we look at even the cost of rent there, it's a little bit high, other than compared to other counties.
Yeah, the rent is relatively higher than other counties because of proximity to Nairobi and the people that we are housing. Of course, in Nairobi, the rents will be much higher than Kiambu, but Kiambu being close to Nairobi, then the rents are relatively good. And that can be, if you look around Kiambu, you see the kind of developments that are coming there. It's quite massive. If you go to a place like Ruaka, you can see what has happened in the last 10 years. There are a lot of changes and a lot of developments, and especially on both on the rental and also on the properties for sale. So the rates are charged actually on all kind of properties. And mainly we look at two documents. There is a leasehold and a freehold title. And which the rates are charged on both. Because if you look at the national government, you do not pay land rent on a freehold title. But in the cases of county government, then it also apply on a freehold title. So we would say it is charged on both all kinds of properties, both residential, agricultural, industrial, commercial.
We hear every year 100% waiver on penalties.
Yes.
What if somebody decides, I'm not going to pay the rates themselves? We hear of the waiver each and every year. What happens to his property?
What happens is that, well, like I said, we give you a 3 months window to pay your rates. That is between 1st of January to the 31st of March. If you have not paid your rates by 31st of March, then you are charged a penalty. And that is a 4% on the outstanding amount per annum. So, and that's why we are actually pleading and asking, the residents to pay up their rates before the end of the window, the end of the season, that is by the end of March, so that you do not incur a penalty. Because why would you incur 4% interest on the unpaid rates, and you could have paid them? And they also, danger is if you accumulate the rates, because the laws gives us the power to actually, if, for example, it's a commercial property, the county government can come and start charging rent or collecting rent from your tenants. If the situation is even worse, the county government can actually auction your property.
Really?
Yes, and we have seen those things happen.
What if I have a building, yes, but it doesn't have any tenant? I'm not collecting any money. Am I supposed still to pay the rates?
I'll give you an incident that happened to... oh, yes, it is not based on what you are collecting.
Okay.
It is based on the fact that you have land.
Land there.
Yeah, in Kiambu. It is not based on whether it's even developed or undeveloped. And like I said, we do not charge rates on developments.
Yes.
We charge rates based on the land, the vacant land. So even when we are doing the assessment, we do not assess your property based on the developments that are on the property, but on the land itself.
And is it, but the rates themselves, do they also apply to agriculture land if I decide to be farming my small plot of land?
Yes, but like I said, the difference is in the rates tract, what we call a rates tract, because after the valuer comes and assesses the value of the land, then we determine the rates tract, the percentage that we are going to use to levy rates on that particular property. So it can be a 0.001% or a 0.01% or 0.02%, depending on the kind of property that you have. So for commercial properties, it will be higher than for residential, than for agricultural.
The Ministry of Lands did start the digitization exercise. Do you believe, from what you've seen and also in other counties, have it been able to seal the loopholes that we've always experienced of people being conned land, people being conned plots?
I would say it's a work in progress. I cannot say at this point they have it 100%, but I'll say it's a move in the right direction, and I believe we shall get there with time. I have been lucky to see other jurisdictions where they have been able to fully digitize their land records and their land processes, and it's something that is achievable with the right commitment, the right resourcing, and everything that they are putting in. So I believe the ministry is on the right track, and we should get there.
Yes, I know, of course, there will be repercussions when I decide to perhaps develop without the approvals.
Yes.
To emphasize the severity of this, because as you said, more than 70% of the buildings, some have not completed their approvals. To emphasize the severity of it, what happens?
I think the issue of building approvals, and
because at 70%, that's a big number.
Yeah, the 70% non-compliance in building approvals, I think that's a very big percentage, and that's why we are actually organizing things like the land clinics to be able to educate our people and developers and tell them which is the process. There have been a lot of misconstruction in the industry, especially when it comes to approvals. A lot of people think it is a difficult process to go through, and it's actually not difficult at all. We have different kind of approvals. You can come to us when you want to do a construction. You can come to us when you want to do, say, a boundary wall. You can come to us when you want to do a building, either a commercial or residential or whatever other kind of, as long as it's a permanent building, then you need to seek approvals. So sometimes people don't know that they are supposed to seek approval, or they are misled, or they think it is difficult, so they don't come to us. Or they come to us when it is late. But what it is important that you get your approvals. One is because if you don't, the county government can take you to court, and you know that delays your process of construction. If you are delayed in constructing, sometimes you have borrowed even funds from a bank, you are incurring an interest on those funds. So you don't want to be left with and we have quite a number of those constructions that are waiting for the determination of the court process, and that delays can be very expensive on a developer. In our situation, then we can come and actually demolish your property. If you have not sought approval, or you have built contrary to the approvals.
And talking of clinics, as we wind up, you as Kiambu County are organizing a clinic. Kindly touch on it as we wind up.
All right, I'll touch on that. Before I go to the clinics, I want to just mention the kind of approvals that you can come for from our department. And first of all is when you are doing a building construction, both for architectural and for structural drawings. And the approvals are robed in our EDAM system. We have a system that processes the development approvals right from the time that you put it into the review, to the circulation, to the invoicing and the payment. It is all done on the EDAM system, and your architect will lobby that application in the system. Then we have other. You want to change user, say on a property, it says agricultural, and you want to change that user to commercial, or you want to do a residential building, then you need to come and seek approval from us for that change of user. Sometimes you want to do a subdivision on your property, and that's another area that you need to come. Or you want to amalgamate your properties, you have several plots and you want to make them into one, possibly to serve you better in your development, then you need to come to us. Sometimes you have started your construction without seeking approval. And we have so many of those cases, like the ones I mentioned in the 70%, 25% of non-compliance. There are people who started or changed their designs midstream during construction. Then you need to come back to the county and seek regularization of that development. Then we'll give you a building permit. When you finish your development, you need to apply for occupation permit. So those are the processes that we go through, and we are encouraging people to come to us, because for a small development like the wall, it only takes us 15 days to give you approval. We also give approvals for billboards and outdoor advertising, and that only takes about 7 days. When it comes to complex buildings, multi-levels.
Like the tenant one.
That takes about 30 days only.
Kindly, because of the interest of time, touch on what is the end game in your clinic, and what should Kenyans expect?
So we have organized for land clinics starting from next week on the 10th and 11th, and then the following week on the 14th and the 15th of this March, of March. And we'll be running them across our sub-counties, starting with Thika, Juja, Roiro, and Kiambu, And then the second phase, the following week, we'll go to Kabete, we'll go to Rimuru, we'll go to the other sub-counties, yeah? So what we want to achieve is that we are inviting developers, we are inviting persons with questions in areas to do with development approvals, areas to do with evaluation, for rating, because like we said, you need to be a late payer. You also need to come and apply for us to put you in the system. It doesn't mean that if you are not in the system now, you are not a late payer. It just means that the time that you come, we will have to pay back all the rates that you have not paid over the years. So we want to meet with our population and tell them what we do, explain our processes, explain what we do, explain so that we are able to help them. And when you come, for example, like a late payer, you want to be put in the system, we shall facilitate that from the application to invoicing to payment. If you have a small building that you are building, we shall explain the process of approval. If you have any challenge in any of the areas that we are offering services, we are inviting you. If you are a developer or if you are a property owner, you have a problem with rates, we are inviting all those people to come and interact with our officials. We are going to have our surveyors on site. We are going to have our land sub-county administrators on site. We are going to have our valuers there. We are going to have our planners there. We are going to have everybody that is involved in the processes in one place so that we bring the service closer to the people.
Again, it's from the 8th to the 10th.
No, it's the 10th to 15th.
To 15th.
Yeah, so on 10th and 11th, we'll be covering Thika, Juja, Roiro, Kiambu, and on the 14th and the 15th, we'll cover Rimuru, Kikuyu, Kabete, and Kiamba.
All right. So if you're a resident there and you have any question, whether you're a land developer or a private developer, then you have all your questions answered. Thank you so much. I've been hosting the CEC member in charge of lands when it comes to Kiambu County. They are talking about matters land, and especially when it comes to the land rates and also land approvals. Let's continue this conversation on our social media. In case you have any questions, just wire them, and of course we will be able to get answers from the CEC. Then from here we have the county focus, where we are looking at Siaya County and our very own Victor Law instant with the county governor for Siaya. Let's know more about this great county.
All right, so we are here with Governor of Siaya County, Governor Colonel Rasanga, just to tell us some of the challenges, achievements, the hits and misses in terms of governance since he took office 10 years ago. Already, time is running up and he'll be exiting office come 9th of August. And we just need to hear from him for the first time here on KBC Channel 1. Governor, karibu sana.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning to you. And it's a nice environment. We've seen flowers all over. Are you a lover of flowers?
Yes, I am a lover of environment.
Yes.
Not just flowers. Yes. I like serene environments. Yeah.
It gives some kind of a relaxed environment around you.
Indeed, and you are thinking. Yes, refreshes somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine if Wangari Maathai was alive and she came here.
She imagine how she would really love this compound of mine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about you as the governor. You been around for some time, and now it's 10 years. But before we get there, what do you make of the handshake? It's now almost 4 years. What do you make of the handshake?
No, handshake really meant a lot of things for us, especially as governors. Before the handshake, there was a lot of tension.
Yes.
In the Council of Governors, where we congregate as governors to champion our interests for every county. there was a lot of competitiveness when it comes to the leadership of Council of Governors.
Yes.
But the moment the handshake came in, now everything was seen as normal.
Yes.
So that even if there are elections, you don't look at yourself as I am a Jubilee, as I am ODM.
Yes.
Yes. So it really thawed the relations. And I think that was a very good pointer to things that will come. Number two, we were free as governors to crisscross even the counties. For example, if there is in Muranga, I have Wairia as a governor, we would easily reach each other without any problem. So that tag that was there about the party being ODM, party being Jubilee, ceased to exist. So it meant quite a lot of things flowing smoothly. Yes.
You know, it's quite interesting to hear that before handshake, even the governors themselves had issues among the council.
Yes.
It was that bad.
There was, because you see, you go, you congregate as governors, then you come in because you are from ODM, and some are from Jubilee.
So you not agree on any legislation or any agreement?
No, first of all, getting the office, who is the chairman?
Yes.
Then they will be saying the chairman should be coming from this party.
Yes.
And so on and so forth. And you know that is not good at all for the country.
Right.
Because the most important thing is, once you have been made a governor, you are a governor, and therefore, as governors, we are supposed to, do our business without minding about the party.
So after that, everything settled, because even during elections, we would see some governors would retain their seats, like right now.
You see, for example, the first chairman of the Council of Governors was Isaac Ruto.
Right.
And Isaac Ruto came from Jubilee. Right?
Yes.
And the immediate vice chair was Kidero, who was
ODM.
from ODM. So that was the arrangement. You get it? But today, when Oparanya became the governor, Oparanya took over
as the chairman.
As from an ODM person.
Yes.
Who was Nanok. Right? Yes, and it has gone to Ambora, not because of the party. No. So the party is getting lost somehow because of the handshake. You have to get it.
This is interesting. Because when you talk about handshake, a lot of things happened, and even the tranquility that the country is enjoying. It's quite interesting that Kenya is peaceful.
It is enormous, and quantifying it is not easy.
It's not.
Yes. Even the social fabric, the enjoyment that, say, various tribes are enjoying. It is unparalleled.
Did you ever see at some point that the president and Honorable Raila Odinga would shake hands?
I never imagined it. I never imagined it, and I can tell you that I'm one of the people that when we were shortchanged, when we were so shortchanged in the elections in 2013.
Right. It was bad.
Yes, it was very bad. But the only problem in this country is that people forget very fast.
Yeah.
People forget so fast.
Yeah.
So that despite the enormous, obvious things that were not going on well during those days, now people have forgotten. Yeah.
You know, it's quite interesting because right now when you hear the president and Honorable Raila Odinga calling themselves my brother, what does it show nationally?
It's a very good thing, but it has that my brotherhood should transcend down to the people
themselves.
Yes.
Are we feeling it?
We are not feeling it as much, but the way Uhuru has now come to support Raila for presidency, that is a very big mark. That is a very, very big mark.
It is, because nobody ever saw it coming.
Yes, that's a very big mark because, you know, the level of tribalism.
Yes.
That is like rubbing out tribalism completely from in this country. Because if you begin it from the top there, then things will definitely rearrange themselves.
The sense.
Yes.
And perhaps somebody will say that whatever happened between Jaramogi and the founding president, Kenyatta, it's now replicating itself right now, years later.
Yes, it is being sorted out.
It was not sorted out then.
It was not sorted out then because I believe by the time Jaramogi was, you saw recently is when Mohoho went to pay his last respects to Jaramogi.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yes. Just after the handshake.
Yes.
That means that there were still certain things that had not been sorted out. Yeah.
And Kenyans should take this so seriously.
This is supposed to be taken very seriously because the trajectory that the country was taking when it comes to developmental issues, the country was going when it comes to tribalism.
Yes.
It was just too bad.
Yeah. Because, Governor, you know you are the first pioneers of the Constitution, something that you all fought for. What would you make of the Constitution years later, from 2010?
You see, the Constitution, as they say, is a very good Constitution that we have. Yeah, we have a very good Constitution. That does not mean that if it is good, we cannot look at certain parts of it which are supposed to be tailored towards making it even better.
Yes.
Right?
It's progressive.
Yes, it is a progressive thing. And the fact that we started, it brought about devolution.
Yes.
I think there is some ambassador who came to talk to us as governors, having had devolution for some time. He was a Yugoslavian ambassador. And he told us that the effect of the devolution people will only start seeing the goodness of devolution after 25 years. So this 10 plus another 10
plus another 5.
Plus 5. Then devolution will be seen.
Because it has got some loose ends that must be fixed.
Yes, that must be fixed. Because like now, when you talk, there are so many things which are still teething, which must be sorted out. Yeah.
Out of 100%.
Because, for example, I can tell you a very important thing. Look at it that the population that we have in this country of 48 million, the urban population is a very small percentage.
Yes.
The biggest population is in the rural area. And that is where devolution is, isn't it?
Yes.
And then the money for roads is still held here.
At the national level.
At the national level. And the roads are where? The roads are in the Mashanen. So those are things that must be sorted out. Because for a country to develop, you have to develop infrastructure.
Which the president says that he's done tremendously well.
And I give him kudos for that. Even me, I have done the same in Siaya. Greatly accessibility. In Siaya, there is nowhere where you will go without a car. You can always drive left and right.
No, Governor. You can't say that.
I'm telling you.
So we need to travel across the country and see for ourselves.
Yes. We started when the accessibility was very bad in Siaya. And to date, I think we have made almost 1,800 kilometers.
You know, that is like from Nairobi to Mombasa almost 3 times.
Yes, but now the only problem is that there are Maram roads.
Yes.
We are only using them for accessibility. We want the farmers to access their farms, their produce to access market. And of course, you know, the journey that goes to New York starts from somewhere. So even if he is one of the residents, you know, like Siaya, by the way, we have a lot of Siaya people in the diaspora. I think if you go out there, one of the counties that has got the greatest number outside, even here in Nairobi, if you look at the number of people that are coming from Siaya, it is the greatest. So mine is, I can be able to connect that rural folk with the counterpart in New York very easily.
Did you just have to say New York? Why did you say Mombasa? Hey, no.
Yeah, but you see, New York is the farthest. Yeah.
I get it, because, you know, when you talk about devolution, you are the pioneers of devolution, and somebody would say that the current governors who are the pioneers of devolution, you learned on the job. You did not know what it was all about. How was it like, or how is it like?
No. Not really that devolution was a new thing. You know, Moi tried devolution.
The Majimbo.
No. District focus for rural development. That was devolution. District focus for rural development that was there in the 90s.
Yes. When you look at the number of people who have benefited, is huge. Talk of roads, talk of electricity connection, talk of schools, hospitals. Give me your achievements, perhaps, if you can mention them. What you can take home. That
we have achieved quite a lot.
Yes.
You know the kind of whatever was devolved is what I'll be talking about. You know, like education is not devolved.
It's not.
Yeah.
Health is.
But the part that is devolved is what I will start with.
Yes.
The ECD.
Right.
When we started devolution, the number of students, the population that was in ECD was less than 20. Less than 20,000 for the entire county. But to date, it is over 100,000.
Reason?
Reason, number one, we have constructed structures for ECDs. Almost in, how many schools? 267.
That's a huge number.
Yes. Right? 267 ECDs. A block consisting of 3 classes.
Yes.
The store and the office for the teachers.
Yes.
We have employed teachers 623.
623.
Yes. And now, as we speak, we are intending to employ another 200.
That will make it almost 900, 800 plus.
Yes. So that because the parents are aware that those centers are there now.
Yes.
There is no child that will ever go to standard 1 without going through ECD. Right. So that has promoted that, you know, that education is very important. Because if you don't get a proper setting at the beginning,
the foundation, the early childhood,
yes, then you don't get it properly later. So we have managed to bring that to that level.
Yes.
When you come to the docket of health, you know, health is fully devolved.
It's fully devolved. And that's where the problem is, because most counties, you've been grappling with doctor strikes all over the country.
Yes, but I will talk about Siaya in the sense that what we have achieved with regard to health, we started by recruiting the so-called Nyamrerwa for the primary health care.
Yes.
So Nyamrerwa, we have about 2,481 that we are paying a stipend per month. And we are the only county that is doing it. If you want any data in the county with regard to any household, you will get it within minutes.
Yes.
from those Nyamrerwa. Yes.
Because they complement the health workers.
Yes, their job is mainly to take care of health issues that are primary, right? At the lowest level.
Yes.
That is at family level. And therefore, even today, if I want to know how many voters, for example, people have not taken votes, I use Nyamrerwa. Just tell them, go to those homes, then you will get them. Not only that, when somebody is sick, even if it is malaria, they know they would refer to those Nyamrerwa as doctors.
Yes.
They are doctors because they are capable of treating malaria.
Nyamrerwa are the community health workers.
Yes, community health workers.
Yes.
Yes. And so they have really brought the health closer to the people.
Because the first point, the first people to interact with the locals.
Yes.
Before you go to the hospital.
Yes.
Would you say that the health system in Siaya has improved?
The health system in Siaya has improved greatly.
Yes.
Because previously, before we came in, even child mortality rate was very high.
Right.
To date, it has really reduced.
Yes.
Maternal mortality rate was very high. It has drastically reduced. HIV prevalence was very high. It has drastically reduced.
Yes.
So generally, the health standards in Siaya has improved greatly. And this is, to buttress on this, I'll tell you that the World Health Organization require that the nearest, the farthest distance to a health center should not be more than 5 kilometers. And we have already achieved it in Siaya.
In all, how many sub-counties do you have?
We have 6 sub-counties.
And all of them are well taken care of?
Each, in some sub-locations, we have 2 health facilities.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is already achieved. We don't have a problem there. The next problem will be equipping them properly.
Yes.
But the physical facilities already there. And then recruiting the staff to work in those particular dispensaries.
But Governor, much as you can say that you've achieved, you know, one problem that usually most of the counties suffer from is lack of personnel. What about Siaya?
That is where the problem is. We have a very big bill when it comes to human resource.
Yes.
The guidance is that it is supposed to be about 30%. It should go up to 35%. But Siaya, you have gone up to, it's now 42%.
42. So you've surpassed the mark.
We have surpassed the mark. And we are surpassing the mark because of the necessity.
Right.
No, necessity obeys no law.
Yes.
Because we have already constructed that dispensary. What do you think? We shall need a nurse there, isn't it? We shall need a watchman. We shall need all those particular personnel. And therefore, that is an area that we have not managed to get enough staff.
Yes.
But it has to be progressively done.
Yes.
So like just last month, we have recruited quite a number just to manage for us those structures the way they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, Governor, we live in a very interesting times. Corona pandemic came and things just took a different turn altogether. How did you manage it as a county?
We did what we could. We managed to record very few deaths.
Exactly.
Because you remember, I was making a lot of noise that people who are coming from outside are the ones that are bringing for us corona.
Yes.
Yeah, but somehow people heeded the call, so that the observation of the use of mask, the observation of social distance,
yes,
the observation of washing hands
and sanitization,
and so on and so forth,
yes,
was done greatly. And so I think
you even built isolation center,
yes,
fully equipped.
Yes. I have built for 300
beds.
300 beds, 300 and it's more than 300. In Siaya we have 200.
Yes.
In Ambira, because we are looking at Ambira and Ugenya, yeah, those two sub-counties, we have 50 beds.
Yes.
Then in Bondo, because we are looking at Bondo and Rarieda, we also had 50 plus, about 60.
Yes.
60 beds. Yes.
And all these you built from scratch during the pandemic?
Yes, from zero.
Okay. Governor, let's take a break.
One thing that I want you to understand in the healthcare, I heard that there are some counties who have done cesarean birth for the first time in their counties, in their level 4 hospitals. I can tell you that in Siaya we are doing the cesarean at sub-county level.
No.
At sub-county level.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, I still want to talk about more of the achievement, because most people do not understand what governors go through. Perhaps when you outline them the way you're doing right now is when we will understand even more and better how the taxpayers' money is being used. So on that note, let's take a very short break, but when we come back, we still have much more with Governor Colonel Rasanga. And by the way, what is his relationship with Dr. Moth? He will tell us.
Kwani kumtaja Allah tabaraka wa taala ni Mwenyezi Mungu kutupa direction ya kuwa sisi tupate usalama wa hapa duniani na kesho akhira.
Kitendo ambacho ni chema zaidi ya vitendo vyote, ambacho kinaweza kuongeza daraja ya binadamu mbele ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na bora hata zaidi ya kupigana jihadi, ni kitendo cha kumkumbuka Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Idha as-samaa'u
swala zote na salamu zimfikie Hashimu mwenye cheo.
Tatizo la kupata huduma za afya lilikuwa limewakaba wakazi wa mitaa ya mabanda kwa miaka mingi,
Lakini kupitia uongozi wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, mitaa hii sasa inajivunia hospitali za kisasa.
Na wewe unaitwaje?
Wiki hii kwenye Project 254,
I decided that it was important that we have the capacity to give health care to where people are.
Tumeona maendeleo imeendelea hapa kwetu Ruben. Saa hii dawa tunapata free, atulipishwi dawa, na tena matibabu yetu yote tunapata free.
And welcome back. Still having a conversation with the Siaya Governor, Colonel Rasanga. Governor, you're talking so well about health system in Siaya County. But a challenge that usually most counties faced is the strike by the doctors, the health personnel. What did you talk about that?
That has been a very big problem to us, but we have managed it somehow.
Yes.
So that dealing with them has not been very easy. But we have always tried to tell them that, look here, health was devolved because of you.
Yes.
Right? The fact that payment has delayed, that should not make you go on strike. Simply because, after all, it is delayed. You know the reason why it is delayed, but it will come and it will be paid.
Do you communicate to them?
Yes, we do. We do, and sometimes we agree.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't agree. Yeah, but in most cases we have agreed. So that the effect of strike in Siaya, if I have to say it, it has been very minimal. Yeah. And again, one thing that we resorted to is that we employ the workers. Now, when we employ them, we employ them on contract. Yes. So the ones on contract will never go on strike.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about promotions?
Promotions we do. We have done that as required by law.
Because most doctors will say that they stay in particular positions for far too long.
We addressed that. We addressed that largely, sometimes some 2-3 years ago. Yeah, and that is no longer a problem.
Yes.
The biggest problem to date with the nurses and doctors is normally just, there are small things that the salary has delayed because, of course, they are also supposed to be paying other agencies. When it is delayed, then, you know, that affects their position.
Yes.
But it's normally temporary. Yeah.
Let's talk about the issue of corruption, because the president was so passionate about the fight against corruption, and most governors still have pending cases in court because of corruption, misappropriation of public money. This is one of the reasons why most counties delayed in terms of service delivery, right?
I don't agree with that. Delay in service delivery is not because of corruption. Largely, it could be created by many things, including corruption at the other end.
Yes.
Yeah. But the issue is true that the elements of corruption are there.
Yes.
Within the county.
What would you make about Siaya in particular?
There are cases of corruption, I can tell you, because we have been having the anti-corruption on and off, doing investigations here and there. We have had some convictions.
Yes.
2 or 3 convictions. And that shows you that corruption is there. However, we have been really trying to contain it. Yeah? But the biggest problem is the mindset of Mwananchi.
Yes.
And the current generation of people who work smart. Yeah? the current youthful people do not wait and see that you can work, save, and out of your savings you can invest, and from that you can easily buy a car or do whatever it is with the money. They want it very fast.
They call it instant coffee. You just put sugar, coffee, and you have your tea.
It's unfortunate. That is what we have in CI. I believe other counties may also be experiencing the same problem. But the biggest solution that would be on that would be some careful study should be taken. Yeah.
Allow me to ask you this question, because you are an outgoing governor. The issue of pending bills is affecting most counties. What is the situation?
I think CI we are safe.
You can't say that you're safe.
We are safe because we have dealt with most of the pending bills. We have dealt with many pending bills.
Yes.
And even if it is there, we are managing them, because we had sent a program to the COB.
Yes.
So that we go by the schedule. That each time we are given the money, there is some money that we spend on pending bills.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the current status of CI?
CI, they are telling me that it is less than 24 million, which I don't agree. It could be something like 200 million.
200? 20 million. That's a lot, because you have just 5 months to exit office.
Yes. I am not very sure. According to what they told me this morning, they told me that it is 24 million.
24 million.
Yeah.
You know, most of the governors, people who will be coming in next regime, they'll be inheriting these pending bills. Are you intending to complete them, to pay the suppliers, all the pending bills to be clear before you exit?
Our government will continue. The government will be continuing. It's only the governor that will be going out.
Yes.
But the rest of the staff will be there. Governor and the deputy ndio wanaenda. But the governor and deputy comes in, isn't it? The ministers will go, but the chief officers will remain. So that government should be able to manage those debts, as it were, so that even the program of paying them should not be restricted to the end of the financial year. Yeah.
But some would argue that some governors are taking advantage. They're saying that, we are going out, so the next governor will take over.
That will be very unprofessional. We have to run these offices professionally.
Right.
So that what you are leaving behind, you must leave a name. Yes, you must leave a name. It is important to have a name. Having a name is very, very, very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most governors, including Siaya County, you had not so good kind of relationship with the treasury in terms of disbursement of the money to the counties.
Not Siaya. Siaya has been doing very well, but disbursement to the counties has not been good.
You can't say that Siaya has been doing well, Governor, because what is your county revenue collection?
Revenue collection, that is what brings in the pending bills.
Yes.
Pending bills come because of lack of collection of revenue. But we have really managed to bridge the gap. So that as we are speaking, I formed a task force, which is currently even on it for the last financial year and this financial year. They are really trying to make sure that the revenue is collected as per the target, so that even if you don't reach it, but the gap remains very small.
What is the an average of Siaya annually, so to speak, or quarterly?
As a result of the task force, I'm seeing that the difference came to be very minimal.
Right.
Very, very minimal.
How much are you given by the national government, treasury, the revenue allocation?
We normally get about 7 billion.
Every financial year?
Yes. Well, on the average.
Yes.
So our budget is about between 7 and 8 billion. Yeah.
That's not bad for Siaya.
Well, we are not complaining much, but it is bad in the sense that the money that we get does not give us the services that we want to give to the people. Yeah. For example, I have just received some message this morning. We had a supplementary budget, and the amount that is allocated to health for food patients is not enough. You get it? You remember the mortuary business in Yala?
Yes.
Now, to manage that mortuary,
something that you complained about.
Yes.
Does that worry you as a governor? Because you said that the mortuary which is there is not enough to have.
It is, because if you cannot, when you are elected by the people, you are elected by the people so that when they have lost a loved one, they give that loved one the respect that the loved one deserves.
Yes.
Until they send the person off, isn't it? But now when other bodies are brought there that you had not imagined, it really brings a lot of problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Governor, River Yala is in Siaya County. And River Yala has
we also have River Nzoia. So why not River Nzoia?
No. Because of the obvious reasons. River Yala in a few weeks ago did not have some good, story in the news. What did you make of that? You are the governor, you are the CEO of that county.
Yeah, and I came out very clearly and addressed the national government.
Where are these bodies coming from?
They were dropped there, but the thing is this. The national government took very fast, drastic step to do a forensic investigation.
Yes.
So that they took the samples and came with them to Nairobi here and so on and so forth. And I was thinking that the best the government could have done was to take those bodies to City Mortuary. Then they do the rest of the things there instead of leaving the bodies there at CI.
Preliminary investigations, what are the indications? Where were these bodies coming from?
No. There was nobody who ever reported a loved one lost
within Siaya County.
Within Siaya County. And that means that they must have come from outside. With the waters, because you see, when the waters arrive, there is no visa for water when it's arriving in Siaya.
According to the eyewitnesses, they say that some vehicles would come with, at night, bodies stashed in gunny bags or in gunias, dumped, and then they go.
I can't tell. I can't tell about that.
Yes,
I can't tell. But it's a very bad thing. Why? Because public health, we use that water
exactly
for our domestic uses.
Yes,
isn't it? So whoever is even doing that, it doesn't. It's not a good thing at all. It's very uncivilized.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can assure the residents and general public that you are in control of that.
I'm not in control because once I complained to the national government, they never came back to me. Because the only decent thing they could have done was to transfer those bodies.
Okay, my name is George
either to New Nyanza General Hospital.
You can hear me.
Because then they have a bigger capacity for dead bodies.
Yes.
Or to City Mortuary. Because City Mortuary is for the national government.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
If elections are held today, who would you vote for?
For Raila. Without opening my eyes, I would vote for Raila.
And Governor of Siaya, who do you vote for to succeed you?
That one I can't tell now because there are people who are competing for it, and it would not be fair for me to start talking about people to vote for.
I'm asking that because Siaya politics is one of the hardest and the toughest. The competition in Siaya is on another level. You faced it. You faced it. And
3 times.
3 times.
Yes.
What is so unique about Siaya?
Siaya is where we have people who are very enlightened. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The voters are very enlightened.
So picking a candidate is always a challenge.
Yes. And Siaya, by the way, is where people also talk about justice. Justice. That justice must be seen to be done.
That is Siaya County.
It's Siaya County. They are particularly, you know, even the Siaya that are in the diaspora.
Yes.
Wherever they are also very active. And they are the ones that make the ground to be more active. Yes. So today, I don't know, maybe you can get some data from Safaricom on the kind of calls that are made during this season. And whether they are politically related. You will find they are just politics. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm asking that question because the president said that people should support Honorable Raila Odinga. And he went to Sagana, talked to Mount Kenya people, and they all agreed that, yes, he will support Raila Odinga. Some people are saying that the president should take a neutral ground. But the president said that he's also a voter.
No, as far as I'm concerned, one, I have told you I cannot take sides right now.
Right.
But after the nomination, definitely you will see me supporting who has been nominated by the party. Right?
Yes.
President Kenyatta has his right to lead this country, right? To better leadership. One, he has measured himself and he has seen what kind of leadership is required there.
Yes.
He could probably have measured to it and he doesn't want it to come down, right?
Yes.
Or he could have not measured to it, so he wants Raila to be the one to bring it from wherever it is, to bring it up.
To make the graph grow.
Yes.
Okay. Out of 100, how would you rate your administration 10 years later?
Out of 100?
Yes.
We are operating at around 70%.
You're too generous.
That is what I'm giving. So you can give me what you think I deserve.
You're too generous.
70%.
What attributes to 70%?
Quite a lot of things. See, I've told you I was taking you through health.
Yes.
I never went to water. I've told you water, or we almost have 60% coverage of households with water. You see, we have not reached the threshold, as it were.
Yes.
I have talked about roads, that roads are almost everywhere. That one is almost at 100%.
Yes.
Right? When it comes to trade, we have also tried as much as we can to build markets so that the traders would find it easy and comfortable to sell their wares. Yeah. You know, a long time ago, whenever you go to a market, you would not even find a place where to help yourself.
Right.
But now we have tried to sort out that. Slowly by slowly, I believe in another 10 years,
yes,
we shall have another mark.
Okay, as we come to a close, Governor, when you talk of your office, sometimes ago on social media, people said that Governor Rasanga built State House in Siaya in the name of office, that you're becoming too Luo for a governor.
No. No, it is just an office that befits a governor. Whoever governor that will come to it, it is a nice office.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful office.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Finally, the issue of nomination. You are
yes, the issue of nomination. You see, nomination is a party thing, and the way the party is supposed to organize for the nominations is that who has been supporting the party, for example,
the loyals,
those are supposed to be given direct nomination. If somebody is loyal,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes,
and is a professional, for example, why should that person compete with somebody who only has the money?
But that's what happens, Governor.
That is what I'm expressing myself.
Yes,
as you have asked me. So as for me, the party is supposed to give direct nomination to the people who have been loyal to the party and the people who have been assisting the party with finances or otherwise. They should be given the first priority. Should be given the first priority for nomination.
Yes.
But however, you must know that democracy, there are some people, especially now, direct nomination, there will be a big number of people there, out there, who would not wish it to be there. Isn't it? There could even be 30%. 70% would be for me, 30% would not be for me. But that is democracy. So that 70 should be taking sway. You get it?
Yes.
So the party should be in a position to interrogate and do it in such a way that, yes, there is an objective criteria that it uses in selecting people to be given direct nomination. That is number one.
All right.
And number two, I support them, I support the party in the approach for consensus. So that, yes, you could be conducting poll opinion here and there.
Yes.
And then you bring these people on the table.
The favorite.
Yes, and ask them, this is what you are currently getting.
Yes.
Would you wish to continue? Or you say bye to this thing, and so that we consider people who are likely to get the thing.
Yes.
That is a good thing, because it is now narrowing down the candidates who are serious. Right?
Yes.
And so be it. And then finally, what I know the ODM is going to do, I don't know whether it's going to be Azimio. What ODM is going to do is that when all these others have not been used, then what remains is that elections will be done with the parties that have not sorted out themselves.
Yes.
So that the universal suffrage is used, especially from amongst the members of the party who shall have been registered with the party headquarters. Although the capacity to also manage that leaves a lot to be desired.
It's a problem because nomination is always skewed.
No, but you see, the moment you have started with direct nomination, as I have said, and you use a proper objective criteria in zeroing in on those people that you are going to give direct nomination, then you lessen problems as it goes. Although it is also possible that you can give somebody direct nomination and somebody who is independent will defeat him.
Right.
Isn't it?
Yes.
But that is democracy.
That is democracy.
Yeah.
Okay. Governor, we are coming to a close. 2 questions. What next for Governor Rasanga after 9th of August?
What next for me?
Are you going for Member of Parliament seat, Senate seat?
No. I was being asked by the Alego electorate that I go for the seat, the MP seat. But I have since considered it and discussed it with the party leader, discussed it with the other friends of mine, and I am concentrating on the elections of the president.
All right.
So I am the one who is coordinating elections for Nyanza, right? And very soon I will be going to the ground so that we select a secretariat for it and have people who will be coordinating the grounds, as it were.
Yes.
Maybe next week or something like that. Yeah.
So you're not running for any political office?
I'm not running for any political office. I want to make sure that Baba becomes the 5th president of this country. And you know, in Baba's house, there are so many houses.
There are so many rooms.
There are so many rooms. So if I will be given a room there,
I know what you mean.
I'm very comfortable. Finally, I want to enroll for my PhD.
Oh, you want to be a doctor?
Yes, I want to do that from September. Once I'm out of the office, I want to be in class I'm out of the office in August, class in September.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
That's a challenge. That's a challenge. We wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay. We'll be speaking to Governor Colonel Rasanga, who says that there is an airport, not an airstrip, an airport in Siaya County. We've talked a myriad of issues in terms of health, education, challenges that faced as governors, the pioneers of the current constitution, and so far he's going out. We thank you for keeping it KBC Channel 1. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.
Nasikia na ndo maana nakuuliza waenda.
Faza nataka nini?
Faza umemwona?
Naondoka pepe.
Uamuzi wa Maya wa kuhusia nini?
Mbona kunichunguza mimi na familia yangu? Wataka nini?
Wakili, taratibu.
Taratibu nini?
Abel si mtoto wangu. Ni mtoto wa Kate.
What do you mean the woman died? Were you even thinking she was only supposed to pass out? You'd better be sure that nobody sees where you buried the...
Tell me why, Santi. I have a feeling there's something more to your story. Come on, tell me.
Let's cut the nonsense, okay? You know better than anyone else that sooner or later, this crime will end up as one of your cold cases.
He's getting married to the person he deserves for taking away the woman who has been an angel to me. I hate him because he always took the best. Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición.
Gone away, an angel in the sky now, and I shine my light up for you, for you. Hey, then the morning came, and my wings took flight. Forget about them and start all over again. 'Cause me without you makes no sense, and you don't need nobody.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya, and after that informative piece with Victor Olo on Siaya County, we also need to get a little bit more informative when it comes to matters competency-based. Indeed, the schools are closing, but we also have the national examination and assessment as well. And to help me drive this conversation, I am joined by a tag team of two formidable and informed members from the Kenya National Examination Council. Let me start with the lady on my extreme right. We have Ann Ngatia. Madam Ann Ngatia is a subject specialist, and also she is the coordinator of competency-based assessment, CBA, at the Kenya National Examination Council. And we also have on my immediate right, we have George Gadongo, who is a subject specialist in charge of special education at the Kenya National Examination Council. Ladies and gentlemen, karibuni sana.
Thank you.
Yes, but we have a very busy calendar, if you ask me, when it comes to matters examinations in the country. The KCSE is currently underway. We also expect KCPE is also on the way, and we also have the assessments for our kids who are on the competency-based. Indeed, competency-based, the CBC has been criticized, as also has been lauded by some quarters. Let's first understand more. Madam Ann, kindly explain to us the structure of the CBC.
Thank you, viewers. When we talk about competency-based assessment, we really are talking about a departure from what we have been doing on examinations. And we are actually talking about a process that is aimed at finding out the competences, the abilities, the skills, attitudes, and values that our learners have been able to acquire in the process of learning. And therefore, this is a continuous process that begins at the classroom level and also at the Kenya National Examinations Council, where we also give standardized formative assessments. And going forward, we shall be giving assessments across the basic education curriculum. So in terms of the structure then, we have classroom assessments that begin from grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. At the end of grade 3, then we give a national formative assessment, which is geared to finding out what learners have acquired in one of the critical tiers, which we call early years education. And therefore there, the Kenya National Examinations Council begins to give a national assessment to all the learners at grade 3. Then grade 4, we have the classroom assessments going on that are actually developed, administered by the teacher. And we then have school-based assessments where Kenya National Examinations Council develops uniform tools for all learners and are uploaded on our portal for the schools to access, download, and administer them in the most natural environment that the schools can. Going forward, grade 5, the same, and grade 6, the same. At grade 6 is another critical tier, which is the end of primary school, and therefore, at that particular moment, then another summative assessment to cap up the primary school education will be administered, which will be at the end of this year in December. Classroom assessments and school-based assessments will continue for grade 7, 8, and 9. At grade 9, another critical stage where learners will be transiting from junior secondary to senior secondary. And therefore, at that particular point, Kenya National Examinations Council will also be able to give another national formative assessment that will inform learners' choice in the career pathways when they join senior school.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll be finishing on that. But before then, Mr. George, we know indeed we also have to cater for students with special needs. How is the CBC, and especially the assessments that are being done this year round, going to cater for these special needs cases?
Thank you so much. Regarding learners with special needs, CBC has two approaches. And the first approach is where we are saying that all the learners should be given an opportunity to follow what we are calling the regular pathway or the age-based pathway, whereby we, as much as possible, try to adapt the assessment tools, that is the questions and the tasks, to suit those learners. And we modify them in such a way that if a learner is blind and they cannot access the print copy, then the work will be presented in Braille. Likewise, if a learner is deaf and they cannot access that work, then they are presented in sign language that they can understand. We have other type of learners who may not cope with that regular curriculum due to the complexity and maybe severity of their disability. And therefore, CBC has come in handy to come up with a separate curriculum, totally separate curriculum, what we call a specialized curriculum, which will require them to perform practical tasks instead of reading, instead of answering the way the regular candidates are doing. And therefore, they'll be given performance tasks, and teachers will be able to mark those tasks or assess those tasks in real time. So the teachers will use observation methods, checklist, among other tools to assess such learners. And therefore, there's a very distinct pathway, separate curriculum for learners with special needs at the CBC.
And still on the same, before I go to Madam Anne, how different is it from the previous system of the 844? How different is it, and how much more will it be able to help learners as opposed to the other system?
Okay, this is a complete overhaul, if I may say so, because in the current system, the 844 system, what we've been doing is we are stopping adaptation, meaning there is a category of learners with severe conditions who are not catered for. We have got our learners with mental handicapping conditions, the intellectual disabilities, those who are autistic, who are not really catered for in terms of assessment in the current curriculum. And simply why we are doing that is because assessments are derived from a curriculum that is developed by KICD. And therefore, if there is no existing curriculum, then it means we cannot come up with a separate assessment. And therefore, what we used to have is adapted. Okay, like for example, the curriculum for mathematics will be developed, and then some areas will be looked at where maybe some learners with physical disabilities may not attempt, and therefore those areas will be adapted. And by adapting, we mean we modify it. We try to modify it if there is a question that requires construction that is so precise, that is so accurate, then we try to modify that question. But as much as possible, we assess the same skill or similar skill. But what we are talking about CBC is a complete overhaul whereby we have come up with a curriculum for them, and therefore this enables us also to come up with assessment for those learners with, especially those with severe conditions who have never been assessed before in this country.
Yeah, Madam Anne, apologies, I had to interject. A while back, you were explaining something on the structure. You were, I think, in a grade 9?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Kindly take
then
over.
when the learners join senior school, which begins from grade 10, 11 and 12, again, as Kenya National Examinations Council, we are imploring on the teachers to continue with classroom assessment that happens every day, and then we'll be able to give school-based assessments, which we shall upload on our portal at grade 10, at grade 11, and also at grade 12. At grade 12, this marks the end of basic education, and at this particular point then, a national examination will be administered at that particular point at the end of grade 12. And this national examination, note that I am now talking about an examination because the examination here will be used for certification, there will be grading, because these results and the outcomes will be used to place learners into the next level, which can be the world of work, depending on the pathway that they picked at senior school, also tertiary education, and also university education. Yes.
And this assessment, how will we assess our grade 6 student this year round?
Okay, this year round, at grade 6, we are going to give them a formative assessment, which we are referring to as school-based assessment, in their second term. And then in their third term, we shall be able to give a summative assessment. The formative assessment will be in form of practicals, project, and even some written tests, which are a bit different from what we have been used to, because it is going to be a written test that actually really tries to make sure that the learners are being tested on application of knowledge, skills, values, and attitude. The grade 6 summative assessment will be in form of 5 papers, which we have English, mathematics, Kiswahili, and those who are deaf will take the Kenya Sign Language. We shall have a general paper or a consolidated paper, which we are calling integrated science, that combines science and technology, physical education, agriculture, and home science. And the 5th paper will be what we are calling creative arts and social studies. This paper combines social studies, it combines music, art, and religious education. And the summative assessment will be in form of multiple choice questions for the 5 papers. Yes.
And Bwana George, how will the special needs education students be assessed this time around?
Okay, as I had indicated, maybe I also need to explain the structure of the special needs pathway at a curriculum-based assessment, whereby in the regular curriculum, we have learners joining school at a certain age, that is age 6 for grade 1. But for special needs, the curriculum is structured in levels rather than the age-based levels. So it is level-based. And therefore, we have got 4 levels. The basic level is the foundation level. This level is aimed at equipping the learners with communication skills and hygiene. And after foundation level, then these learners are supposed to transit to intermediate level. Let me point out that foundation level is not a prerequisite for one to join intermediate level, because there are some learners out there who will join the formal education having acquired the communication and hygiene skills, and therefore they don't have to start from the foundation level. So a learner with special needs at the CBC can either join at foundation level or at the intermediate level. Then from intermediate level, they will now be introduced to basic, very basic academic skills, like counting numbers up to 20, not more than 20, very basic language skills. And remember, here we are not talking about language like Kiswahili or English. We are talking about the language that the learner can understand. If it's fidgeting, because the curriculum combines all categories of learners, severe cerebral palsy, those who are severely bright, multiple disabilities, that's having more than one disability. And therefore, here when we talk about communication of the language, we are not talking about expressive language or English. No. We are talking about the language that the learner uses and which they can be understood by the people, the caregivers who are living with them. So from intermediate level, then these learners will proceed to pre-vocational level. At pre-vocational level, the learners will be introduced to skills that can later enable them to join the career of their choice. And therefore, after that pre-vocational, then they will go to the final level, which is the vocational level, and from vocational level, then they will join the world of work. So the way assessment has been structured for all these levels is that, as I indicated earlier, it is performance-based. The learner will be presented with a task where they will be required to do something practically, not to answer theoretically, but to do something practically, and that's why we are calling them performance-based tasks, and they will be assessed based on how they are performing on real time. Yeah.
And Madam Anne, a lot of parents have also raised concerns that they still haven't gotten the gist of the whole system, and now we are assessing our kids. Any concerns that they should have as well?
Okay, thank you. I think to our parents and our viewers, I think all we need to know is that we need to be involved much more in our children's learning. We need to get engaged a lot with the teachers, and the schools also will be required to give a lot of information to the parents to assure them that this is a good system, to assure them that even as much as they see that there's a lot of testing, there's a lot of homework being given, or what is being called extended activities, this is just to make sure that as a parent, you are able to follow up, you are able to give emotional support, you are able to give social support to that particular learner. It is a good system because we are saying that what the child learns in school should be extended beyond the classroom. And therefore, when a child is told that go and clean the utensils, they have been trained in hygiene and nutrition, or even in home science, how to do that. They are told to extend that particular experience outside. They have been told about the environment. They are also told to go and extend that in their homes, in the society. And therefore, I think the concerns probably is just a paradigm shift where we need to move away from where most of the work was done at the school, but now we are required as a society, as parents, as guardians, to be able to be involved much more in the learner's education. Yes.
And George, you did talk about now assessing the curriculum for the special needs kids is more or less a complete overhaul. What are some of the challenges of overhauling such a system, bearing in mind these kids have special needs? Just as you said, some even have multiple disabilities.
Okay, thank you so much. One of the key issues I think that need to be addressed, not just for special needs, I think it's the issue of attitude. Because there is a way we have been used to doing things, and here comes a change that demands that we do things in a different way. And remember, we are not just concentrating on the academic achievement of the learner, but the issues of values, the issues of core competencies that will make this learner responsible and independent. And therefore, there are the traditional things that we normally talk about, the issues of we need teachers to be retooled. We need more teachers in special schools this time around because there's more work. We also require resources. We need the schools to be equipped with resources, especially the special schools. And we also need the parents to take up their role. And where we have some children without parents or boarding schools, then you are saying the teachers and the caregivers will now take up the role of parents to give guidance to these learners and give them a lot of hope and work with them. So number one to me is the issue of attitudinal change, that we now have to realize we are in a new era, we are in a new dispensation, and therefore we need to do things in a different way.
Anne, looking at a council, there are a myriad of challenges facing some of the students who will be sitting for their examinations and as well as their assessment. The country has a lot of counties that have been hit by drought, insecurities. What are some of these challenges? How are we going to sort out some of these challenges to ensure that the child who gets the assessment or the examinations in Nairobi will be the same conditions as a student or a pupil who takes an assessment or an examination in Baringo?
Okay, thank you. One of the ways that the government administers examination is by embracing a multi-agency approach where we have interministerial support. For example, the Ministry of Interior is very much involved to be able to make sure that there is security in all the examination centers and that our learners and our candidates will be secure during the examinations. Where it comes to making sure that the assessments are fair, as a council, what we normally do is that noting that one of our principles of assessment is fairness and equity, then we ensure that the kind of task that we are asking a learner to do is a task that can be done by any learner. If we are asking them for materials, we ensure that we are looking for materials that can be locally available, for example, for the practical, for those performance tasks that we are giving, to make sure that no learner is disadvantaged. And one of the areas that we are really emphasizing is improvisation, is use of locally available materials, and so that every learner is able to access. And another way that we are also making sure that there is fairness is that giving an open, especially in the assessments, we are giving open questions where you formulate a question, but a learner is able to perform or undertake that particular assessment depending on the environment in which they are. So if we are not talking about sources of water, then we'll be asking the learners the sources of water that are available in their community. In that way, then we don't restrict them that they must go out and look for something that is not available in their environment. Yes.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. But George, looking at this system, the CBC system, when it began, there were a lot of queries, others talking about the teachers, have they been well trained? What was the situation when it comes to special needs?
Okay, thank you so much. You know, teaching is a profession, just like you go for driving. And if when you went to the driving school, if you are trained with a Toyota model, then it doesn't mean that when you buy a Datsun, you have to go back to, or a Nissan, you have to go back to college again and be retrained. Or what you are saying is continuously, not just in teaching or in education, all over. There are changes, and there is a modern life where you're embracing technology, where you're embracing new changes that are coming in. And therefore, when it comes to teaching, the teachers really do not require the training because they have the methodology. All what they need to do is to update to fit in the current situation. And therefore, what the government is doing is that we are retouring. We are saying we are retouring teachers. We meet teachers during school holidays. And these trainings are organized by the Teacher Service Commission. NEC is a prayer, as Anne indicated, is that we are embracing the multi-agency, whereby we have officers from Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, Kenya National Examinations Council, Teacher Service Commission, same as TEA, all those involved in education, going out to meet these teachers and try to address these issues. As far as special needs education is concerned, we have been having parallel training. Parallel training, we mean whenever the teachers who are handling the regular learners are being trained, within the same venue or within the same vicinity, we organize a training for teachers with, who are handling learners with special needs. And therefore, they have been incorporated, they have not been left behind. And this is something that's continuing. And we're ensuring that we get a lot of feedback from them, what they would like addressed. And we also, together, use what we call a cascade method, whereby once we train a few teachers, then they're expected to go and train others. And of course, there is an organization that is led by what we call the CSOs, or the CSOs and champion teachers. And therefore, we reach each and every part of the country. Yeah.
Madam Anne, looking at the pastoralist communities, they move from one place to another, and this is not the best time to move, and especially when we have assessments. We have some how we can accommodate them as well.
Yes, when we talk about formative assessments, one of the things that we may need to note is that these assessments are flexible. They are not cast on stone in a specific time like an examination. And therefore, when we give these formative assessments, we allow the schools, for the project, we allow them 2 months. For the written test, we allow them at least 2 to 3 weeks, so that the school is able to organize. If they are not able to sit that assessment in the first week, they are still able to sit that assessment in the second week. And therefore, I think that in a way would be able to accommodate those that are moving probably from one place to the other. And also the other thing is that Kenya National Examinations Council is issuing a unique assessment number. That assessment number goes with that child, even if they move from one school to the other. And we are still able to track their progress, even when they transfer from one school to the other. We are still able to get their score, and therefore they should not worry that probably they did not sit in the school where they had actually learned. But even when they move on, they still are able to access. And the other thing is that the assessments are actually flexible because they are uploaded on our portal, and the schools can, the schools can access them at their own time, as long as they are within that 2 months period. And I think that would be a good way of trying to cater for learners who might have challenges in 1 week, in another week, they still are able to catch up and conduct the assessments.
Yes, indeed. I remember the old system, the 844. We were to pay a certain fee for the examination. How different is it with the new assessment? I think, Madam Anne, you can start with that. George can
I think what we may need to realize is that in primary school, the government has been paying the examination fees for our learners. And even now, we have made it easier, because all we are saying is that once we upload these assessment items on our portal, then the schools can access that. And one of the ways that we are encouraging the schools to access that so that they can reduce in terms of cost is to download them onto the tablets. Each of the primary schools was given one projector and 2 laptops and tablets depending on the number of learners that were there at that particular point. And therefore, the schools should be able now to download those assessments and load them onto the tablets so that there is no printing that takes place, and the learner can actually refer to the tablet and answer on their exercise books or even on a foolscap. So that reduces cost. Where probably the tablets are not enough, and we find that most of the tasks that we are giving are practical in nature, the teacher could also use the chalkboard just to write that. Again, they can also project using the projectors just to try and reduce on cost. But we are saying that we are not saying the schools should not print, but there is a way of trying to reduce these costs. But the government has taken care of, through the capitation, through the capitation grant, has taken care of the exam fee, the assessment fee.
George, you can jump in on that, because I'm quite sure with the new system comes new things and new infrastructure. How is it when it comes to the national assessment?
Okay, thank you so much. I think for special needs education, it's even much cheaper. Because whereas even if schools were to print for the regular candidates, for the case of special needs, each learner do not require a copy, an individual copy, because these are people who may not read on their own, and the nature of their tasks does not require them to write a lot. So what is required here is a teacher to just have a copy. So this copy may be soft copy or may be hard copy. And since they are uploaded in the school portal and schools can access them, then it means the teacher may use the tablet or even the laptop, as Anne has explained, to access that material and to administer. Because for special needs, the assessment is individualized. Individualized meaning you are assessing one learner at a time. You are not giving to a mass of students, because even their instructions are individualized. We employ what we call the individualized educational program. And therefore, the teacher would just require one copy, and with that copy, they can move, assessing their learners one at a time. And therefore, I would say for those who are following the stage-based pathway, then it's even much cheaper than even the regular ones.
And distribution of textbook, I do remember the minister saying that we are indeed in control when it comes to the distribution of set books, Madam Anne. And of course, we need each and every candidate to feel equally catered for by the government. How has it been?
Yes, true that the Ministry of Education has been supplying textbooks, and now it is at a ratio of 1:1 that each learner in the public schools is able to access a textbook. And this is usually done through Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. They facilitate the distribution of books within the country. There is a structured mechanism of how that is distributed all the way to the sub-counties, and the sub-counties also make sure that they deliver the textbooks to the schools. So I can say that with surety that the government has done a lot in terms of ensuring that our learners have textbooks and other support materials.
Do you have enough invigilators and observers when it comes to the examinations, because it's starting in next week?
Okay. Well, yes, we may say yes, because statements have already been given by the Cabinet Secretary about the preparedness of the exams.
Okay, that's also in the preparedness as well.
Yeah, so they are there,
yes.
and I think that has been catered for.
Okay, Madam Anne, this is something that I remember somebody asked me the same question yesterday. I remember it's politics, yes. They talked about some factions or some section have talked about we don't like this education system, and when we come in, we are going to change it. how strong is an education system when it comes to matters politics? Because if at all they are going to seize power, then they're talking about we don't need this education system. And of course it will be quite something, because parents have already started sinking their teeth into the CBC.
Okay, I think what we need to know is that an education system is there to serve the needs of the citizens. And we need to understand we are in the 21st century. And therefore, our learners in our schools now need to acquire the 21st century skills. A lot of benchmarking with international practice, what other countries have been doing within the region, in Africa and out of Africa, actually shows that we need to move ahead and embrace the 21st century skills so that these learners are able to think critically, these learners are able to solve problems that are facing the country, and so that our learners are not limited only to Kenya, but they will be globally competitive. And even according to UNESCO, it recommends that a curriculum, or what we used to call the syllabus, should be changed every 5 years. But that does not happen because of the rigors of coming up with a new curriculum and also the expenses. And therefore, what we need to embrace is what are the benefits of where we are moving from. We are moving from a curriculum which is now learner-centered, that the learner is in charge of their own learning. Unlike in the past, where the learner was supposed to just receive information from the teacher, and now the teacher becomes a facilitator. We are talking about embracing issues of pertinent and contemporary issues. We are looking at the society. What is it that is ailing us as a society? And that has been put in the curriculum, so that some of these ills, some of these values that we do not have as a country, we are able to acquire those values. We are talking about community service learning, so such that a learner is exposed to community service. At the same time, they'll be learning early in life, so that they are not disengaged. The moment they leave school, they are unable to cope with the society. So this is a curriculum that is trying to bring on board values. It is trying to bring on board the core competences, communication and collaboration, emphasizing digital literacy. And I believe this is where, as a country, we need. So we need to look at what does Vision 2030 say? We need an industrialized nation. What are the 4 pillars of this government? The socio-economic pillar. What is it that the Constitution of Kenya 2010 recommended? That each learner requires to have access to education, and not only access, but also equity in terms of education. And when we look at the competency-based curriculum, where the mission is to nurture every learner's potential, it then aligns itself very well with the Constitution of Kenya 2010, because every learner has been given a place. Every learner's potential will be nurtured. Unlike in the past where we were moving as a class 8, class 4, class whichever class, but now the teachers are being recommended that let's treat each learner individually. Let us have differentiated kind of learning. Let us have differentiated assessment, so that every learner finds a place and is able to nurture their talent from very early age, and they become somebody useful in the society. Unlike now, where we find that probably because learners were dropping out, because probably they did not pass, we are now seeing that in this curriculum, there's 100% transition. So every learner will be able to transit and finish basic education because of the support that is being given by the government. So we look at the needs of the country first, more than the needs of the individual.
All right, all right. Apologies for interjecting, but I'm informed we have to cross over to the Sarova Pan-Africa, where the Media Council has organized the presidential debate, where they are currently launching it. Let's cross over there first.
Yes. In Kenya, we have walked a long journey from the days of one-party system to multi-party and finally to the second liberation, to expand the space of political discourse. We are a country of diversity of opinions, as demonstrated by the existence of about 100 registered political parties. Our democracy journey is intertwined with the story of our media. These are Siamese twins of our public discourse. Free speech and free media have emerged as the epitome of our democracy. Indeed, we have experienced the progressive growth of our democracy and vibrant media over the years.
We are mindful of our duty as media to
facilitate conversations that becomes even more pertinent during an election year. This is the reason why from 2013, media has collectively moved to entrench the culture of presidential debates as one of the cornerstone pillars of our democracy and electoral process for the benefit of the Kenyan people. In 2013, all 8 candidates came together to engage each other and the Kenyan people on the future of our nation across 2 debates, each over 2 hours long. Then in 2017, media again came together and held yet again 2 presidential debates and 1 deputy presidential debate. It is this culture of freedom of expression that has encouraged various stakeholders in the electoral process to hold debates for political and other professional organization elective platform positions. For a country that has so many diverse political voices, debates have become the place for clarity of priorities, the place for public policies, the place for ideas, and other development aspects key to the Kenyan people. The debates play a significant role in the way we choose our leaders. During these debates, the public gets to listen to the candidates and gauge what their priorities could be once they assume office. In that way, they catalyze issues-based elections. They provide an opportunity for candidates to debate and interact and engage. And they enable Kenyans to make informed decisions. Such efforts call for collective action by media stakeholders, given the centrality of the media in shaping public opinion.
It is for this reason that for 2022, we are pleased to announce the partnership between the Media Owners of Association of Kenya, the Media Council of Kenya, and the Kenya Editors Guild to organize the 2022 presidential and deputy presidential debates that will take place in July 2022 in consultation with the political parties ahead of the August 9th general elections. The 3 entities have agreed on a joint inclusive approach to the process. In this regard, the aforementioned media partners have effective today appointed Clifford Machoka, currently head of External Affairs and Marketing at the Nation Media Group, as the head of the Presidential Debate Secretariat. He will coordinate a diverse team of members from the partner institutions to engage political party partners, stakeholders in the electoral process, and organize the 2022 presidential and deputy presidential debates. Mr. Machoka, can I request Mr. Machoka to stand and wave, and that is Mr. Machoka. He will be assisted by Mr. Leo Mutisia, the head of research and media monitoring at the Media Council of Kenya. Mr. Leo Mutisia, please stand. That is him. And he will also be assisted by Ms. Rosalia Omungo, the Chief Executive Officer, Kenya Editors Guild. That is her. Thank you. A team of senior editors from across media houses have been established to provide stewardship of the content aspects, given how critical the debates are to ensure the public interest obligations are served. Structures have been put in place to secure the interest of Kenyans and to deliver fairness to all concerned, especially audiences and candidates. We have today launched what is a journey that will see the various teams and the various arms of the media industry play their rightful role during this electoral process. We assure the public and the stakeholders in the electoral process that we will give Kenyans quality issue-based presidential and deputy presidential debates that will enable their decision-making and effective participation in this year's election. Thank you. And God bless Kenya.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can take this opportunity to invite any questions from our teams. Any questions from our teams? Yeah, I think there's. Go ahead.
Nicholas Lele from CAS Media Group. Maybe, how many debates have you purposed? Are they only one debate for the presidential and the deputy candidates, or you have two?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe we can take two more. Yes.
Okay. Last time the president did not attend for the presidential debate. So how will you make sure that every presidential candidate this time attends that presidential debate? My name is Martin Mwangi from NTV.
Thank you, Martin. Can we get one last one for this round? This one on the other side. Yeah.
Yes, my name is Ben Kirui from Citizen TV. In a situation where some media owners have declared their political biases towards maybe one presidential candidate, how sure are we that it is going to be maybe less contaminated politically?
Okay. Thank you. The last question I'll direct to Churchill. The first question on how many debates, let me direct that to the MOA chairman. And then there was a question on if we didn't, in the last debates, one of the candidates did not appear. How can we make it happen this time around? I think David can tackle that. So maybe we can start with Steve.
Thank you. Let me handle the question on ensuring that everyone attends. I think it is suicidal for any presidential or deputy presidential candidate not to attend this. We expect, and we will work with them, we'll work with the various stakeholders, we'll work with the various presidential candidates once they are announced. And we are positive, we are confident that because they want the best for this country and because they want to communicate with the voters, they will attend. So I'm optimistic and confident that they will attend, and it's encouraged that they all attend. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll handle the issue about the number of debates. We will have at least one presidential and one running mate debate, at least. The whole idea is, as the guidelines which will be published by the technical team in a few days come up, there will be a system, guidelines for debates, a scientific based on the numbers and percentages people garner. So we will have at least, we will have a threshold for people to participate. And the whole idea is that we will have an initial one, and then one that goes fine as you move to the days. So at least there will be one presidential, one running debate, but ideally there could be at least 2 for each. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll handle the question about contamination, and especially as it goes to owners who've taken sides. I think one thing we need to say, and we need to say it loud and clear, that the news media of Kenya have no candidate in the elections as they happen this year. So us, as media entities and as newsrooms in our country, as we go about covering the elections, we have no candidate. That's number one. Then number two, there are individuals who own media enterprises. And Kenya being a free market zone, every Kenyan has a right and opportunity to participate in business. And that does not deny them their rights to then participate in elections as individuals. So we cannot begrudge those who choose to take political positions. The more important thing for us as professionals in the content area and as the editors in Kenya is that those who make such choices to disclose them openly and clearly. But then also as they disclose them, that the professionals who must deal with news every single day be given the chance to do what they must do in terms of managing the news process away from contamination. We are lucky that in Kenya, our journalism is fairly mature. We have clear benchmarks and standards on how the news process should be managed and should be protected from those who may have partisan interests. And we believe that the key media houses in Kenya are in the hands of fairly respectable professionals who will make sure that this counts for the Kenyan audiences. Indeed, it is for that reason that even as we come together to create the presidential debates, that a team of fairly respected and senior experienced editors have been called upon to come and shepherd or steward the editorial process and the content process around these debates. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe a last round of questions before we close. Just behind you.
Thank you very much. My name is Joash Onsare from TV47. Na niko na swali, nitatumia lugha ya Kiswahili na nitauliza, Wakenya wataruhusiwa kutuma maswali wakati wa mdahalo huo wa urais na wagombea wenza katika mwezi huu ambao ni wa Julai?
Asante sana kwa swali hilo. I think we have our sister there.
Thank you. My name is Safin Acheng from KBC. My question is there consideration that is being put in place for the population that may not be able to understand English? I know it may be too much to ask for such a debate to be done in the local dialect, but at least, investment to be put in place in the languages that the so-called common mwananchi, for lack of a better term, can be able to understand. Because this is a very critical debate, and we have to agree, trends have shown the so-called elites do not turn up on the material day. A small percentage turns up to vote, but ni wananchi wa kawaida ambao wanajitokeza kupiga kura. So I don't know whether something is being done to that effect.
Thank you very much, Safi. Last question. Yes.
Jina langu ni Busara Naman kutoka K24. Mniruhusu nizungumze kwa Kiswahili. Na swali langu, je, kuna mchakato ambao utatumika kuhakikisha kwamba wawaniaji wote urais wanajumuishwa, ama kutakuwa na midahalo miwili kwa wale wawaniaji ambao wako na asilimia kubwa ya umaarufu, alafu kuna wale wengine ambao wako huku chini? Je, kutakuwa na midahalo miwili ama utakuwa tu mmoja ambao unajumuisha wote kwa pamoja? Asante.
Asante sana.
Asante sana. Naomba nijibu swali kuhusu ikiwa umma utakuwa na fursa ya kushiriki katika mdahalo huu. Jinsi tulivyojipanga ni kuwa umma au the public watakuwa na fursa ya kushiriki, watakuwa na fursa ya kutuma maswali, na vile vile maswali hayo yatajumuisha katika mdahalo huo iwapo yatakuwa yakihusika. Na jambo hilo ni nzuri sana. Vile vile tutakuwa na fursa ya kuwa na wawakilishi katika ukumbi huo, wawakilishi kutoka sehemu mbalimbali wakiwakilisha interest kadhaa wa kadhaa. Asanteni.
Swali kuhusu kama iwapo tutaweza kuwa na tafsiri ya mijadala hiyo katika lugha mbalimbali. Haiwezekani kukuwa na tafsiri zaidi ya 50 kwa maana Kenya tuna makabila zaidi ya 50, lakini tunajaribu kupanga na vyombo vya habari vya mashinani kukuwa na mijadala yao pale na viongozi wale pale chini, kwa maana ukiwa na viongozi wale mashinani pale wataweza kuwaeleza wananchi mikakati ya vyema vyao vikuwa viongozi wao, hivi kwamba kama rais amekuja kaongea kwa lugha ya Kimombo ama Kiswahili, ukikuwa na mijadala pale mashinani kwa vile vyombo vya habari vinavyoongea kwa lugha tofauti tofauti, wananchi wataweza kuelewa chama fulani ama kiongozi fulani anasimamia nini, kwa maana haiwezekani, hakuna uwezo wa kibinadamu kuwa na tafsiri kwa lugha 42 ama 45 katika mjadala mmoja, lakini itawezekana kwamba kwa at least lugha 20 ama county 20 tutaweza kuwa na mijadala katika maeneo ya mashinani, ili wananchi wakaweza kuelewa chama fulani, sera ya chama fulani ama miungano fulani inasimamia nini katika ngazi za kitaifa.
Thank you. Just to summarize in English, to take care of those non-Swahili speakers. We already have debate guidelines that have been used in prior debates. This is currently going through a review so that we can update them to the current reality before issuing them. But what is clear is that public participation is a key foundation of our constitution, and because the presidential debates, and we will look for and find ways to ensure that the public have a chance to, raise whatever issues they feel their future leaders should respond to. But we will also apply science to it. So there is a core team looking at research to help us then surface some of those issues. Thank you.
Okay, one more. Very burning. Okay, very burning. The last one? Okay, one last round, right? Then we'll close. Okay.
My name is Malin Lucas from KTN News, and you have mentioned that the public will be able to send in questions, and to where exactly is the public sending the questions to, and is there a deadline or a timeline to which the questions should be sent before?
Thank you for that.
Jina langu naitwa Davis Mberia kutoka Ebru. 2013 tulishuhudia mojawapo wa waniaji Paul Mwite akielekea mahakamani na kutaka kujumuishwa katika orodha ambayo ingeingia katika mdahalo wa wagombea urais. Na pakubwa pia tukashuhudia Abdul Badida pia ambaye hakuwa amejumuishwa katika orodha ile. Wakati tunaingia sasa mwaka huu katika mdahalo huu, je, mmepanga vipi kuona kwamba visa kama hivi havijirudii? Na je, kuna wawaniaji wangapi ambao tayari wajumuisha katika orodha, na ni wapi haswa mtaandaa mdahalo huu?
Last one. There's a mic there.
Hamjamboni.
Hatujambo.
Mimi naitwa Charles Wasonga wa Taifa Leo, reporter wa Taifa. Nauliza hivi, je, kutakuwa na mkalimani wa lugha ya ishara katika mdahalo huo?
Okay. I hope tumeelewa. Asante.
Thank you. I'm Dobi Moturi from the Daily Nation, and my question is, have you decided on the logistics of the venue?
Thank you.
Asanteni sana. Naona kama maswali hata japo yalikuwa matatu yamerudiwa tu. Jibu langu ni kwamba kwa kimombo wanasema trust the process. Kamati yenyewe imefumbuliwa leo, sivyo? Kwa hivyo itatangaza venue, maswali yatakuja vipi ama mkalimani atakuwa vipi, kwa maana wamefumbuliwa leo. Kwa hivyo wale ambao mnawaamini wanaweza kazi hiyo, wapeni muda unapendelea. Watasema kutakuwa na sayansi kuamua nani anakuja katika mjadala huo, venue ama sehemu ambayo yatafanywa itakuwa vipi, na wakalimani pia watakuwa. Kwa hivyo wameanza kazi leo. Siku zinavyoendelea sasa, kamati itakuwa ikitoa mikakati na tarehe za mijadala hiyo na mambo yanavyoendelea. Asanteni.
Thank you very much. We promised each other that we will close after this round. Thank you for that very entertaining session. We've also learned a bit of Swahili in the process. And hopefully that we will leave each one of you with a copy of the media statement. And I think down there you can see, in case you have any queries, you can be able to reach out to the Secretariat. My phone number is there. In case you want, you can be able to make a phone call.
Very well. So, that has been a live feed from the Sarova Pan-Africa, where there has been the launch of the presidential debate organized by the Media Council of Kenya, the Editors Guild, and media owners. Well, I've been able to pick up, it will be in July, and of course Kenyans will be allowed to send in their questions. Talking about media houses need to be objective to actualize this whole process. That's where we put a cap, but earlier on we were talking about the CBC and of course the examinations that are currently underway, the ones that will be coming, and also the assessments that also will be in store. And I had hosted Madam Ngatia and also Bwana George Gadongo, officials from the Kenya National Examinations Council. Thank you indeed so much for making time. And on behalf of my colleagues Jane and Doreen, and of course my director, thank you so much for watching. My name is Bentroy Njue. Up next is Parliament. Good day.